Good morning. Thank you for joining me for another 5 good minutes with the Word. I'm Barry Bryson, and we're beginning today a study of the book of Ecclesiastes. We haven't been in the Old Testament for a while, and I really love this book, and I don't think we understand it very well. In fact, I don't really think any of the commentaries that I have on Ecclesiastes takes a proper view of the book of Ecclesiastes, and you may violently disagree with me. People have strong opinions about this book. I think it's pretty straightforward, which doesn't mean that it's easy, but I think it's a pretty straightforward book, and we'll talk about the approach that the writer takes to the book tomorrow, next time we're together. But today, what I wanted us to do is just give some general introductory information about the book of Ecclesiastes. It's one of the books of wisdom. So, and it's a certain kind of wisdom. It's not the book of James. We love the book of James. I love the book of James. James speaks the way his big brother Jesus speaks, in simple declarative sentences. He can say everything in a verse. Everything we need to know about communication is told to us, and let every one of you be swift to hear, slow to speak, and slow to anger, because the anger of man does not accomplish the righteousness of God. You can't improve upon that, and it's just a single sentence. That's not the way this book works. And if we come to this book expecting it to work that way, we are going to be defeated by it, because it is frustrating and it is dark. And that's part of the point of the book itself. I heard a guy one time, a minister, but kind of a negative, pessimistic person, and we had taken the youth group to, I think it was Kings Island. I think this was back when I was a much younger man, and in one of the rides there was a sign that said, "This is a dark ride," and he said, "I think there should be this sign in every labor and delivery room, that this is a dark ride." And I think that's what the writer of the book of Ecclesiastes is assuming, that life on earth, life here, lived under the sun, which is a key phrase at the beginning of the book, is going to be, whether you're rich or poor, often frustrating and disappointing and difficult. And I think we know that, and he knows that, and that's part of the book, and that's why it's often dark and often frustrating. It doesn't follow along a straight line, because life isn't lived in a straight line. We have different experiences, and he has different experiences. And along the way we make realizations, and along the way he makes realizations. And then he comes to a conclusion at the end. And we know what that conclusion is. We can quote that, and it is the sum of the book. It's the point of the book. And it is communicated in a simple declarative sentence. The end of the matter, when all has been heard, fear God and keep his commandments, for this is the whole duty of man. For God will bring every deed into judgment with every secret thing, whether good or evil. That's the message of the book. And if we get that part of it, then we will have gotten the message of this book. The thing about the book is that it does not allow us to make this a platitude. It doesn't allow us to turn this into a plaque we can hang on our wall. It has to be information that we have earned with sweat equity, with knuckle-busting effort. And it makes us, as we read the book through, go through that knuckle-busting effort. We're not going to understand how beautiful, the joys in life can be unless we understand fully how difficult the hardships of life can be. He's going to make us experience these things right along with him, because he's experiencing them himself. I believe Solomon is the author of this book. Most people don't anymore. In fact, most scholars think it's post-exilic. But I don't know who else fits the bill. I mean, this either has to be Solomon or someone wanting us to think they are Solomon. And I don't have room in my worldview, in my biblical view, I should say, for God including something by, a brazen impostor to be put in the text. He says that he, in the very first verse, that he is a son of David, king in Jerusalem. And he also tells us later on, which we'll notice, that he has unprecedented levels of wisdom. That's true about Solomon. And that he has an enormous amount of resources that are also unprecedented. And therefore, he has available to him the resources to try everything and the wisdom to understand their effects as he tries them. I don't know who else that would be but Solomon. And of course, we know something from Kings and Chronicles about Solomon's life, about how he married so many women, had so many concubines, accommodated them with building. Heavens, he built an altar to the god Chemosh, where human sacrifice would have been performed on what would later be the Mount of Olives, on the hill across from the hill where the temple was. We know that he just tried everything and did everything exactly the way the writer of the book of Ecclesiastes describes himself as living his life. So I really do think the author is Solomon. It is wisdom literature. It's going to use the literary devices of wisdom literature. It's going to want us to think, and it's going to try to make us think. It's not going to make things easy for us. There are going to be words that are found rarely, if ever, in the rest of Scripture, but found here quite a bit. The word Hebel is a good example, which is translated vanity, vanity of vanities, nothing of nothingness. It's like found one other time outside this book, but it's found 34 times in this book. And it means breath, just a breath, just nothing, something that is impermanent, something you can't see, something that doesn't last, and therefore meaning nothingness, emptiness, the void. I mean, that's what it communicates. It's going to have phrases and words, and we'll see them along the way that we're not going to find or rarely find elsewhere in all the Old Testament. It really is about learning the meaning. It's about the meaning of life on earth. It has that limited scope. What do we do here? We are here. What do we do now that we're here? And it's going to answer that question. And he's going to take a lifetime to answer it. And he's going to make us take a lot of that journey with him. Well, we'll talk more about just the way the book is structured or not structured when we're together next time. Thank you for joining me for another 5 good minutes with the Word.